tú no eres una santa, ni yo soy un santo. Nos conocimos pecando, ahora me estás buscando porque quieres más de mí. Y yo te lo doy, te vienes y me voy. Te lo dije que tú eras pa' jugar, que no te podía enamorar. Que ahora me quieres cambiar, sabiendo cómo soy, tú sabes lo que doy. No te hagas ser igual, no te hagas la santa, el perreo te encanta. Y ahora me quieres cambiar, sabiendo cómo soy, tú sabes lo que doy. No te hagas ser igual, no te hagas la santa, el perreo te encanta.
Mami, somos polo positivo y negativo. A la flecha de Cupido siempre me la esquivo. Tenemos secretos guardados en el archivo. No va a haber confianza si contigo convivo. Baby, estás calentándote, yo calentándome. Y tú dices que tú eres brava, pero a veces te me quitas y vuelve y me cita. Pero yo no soy el hombre que necesita.
Yo no voy con labia, no.
Tú sabías la que había, baby.
Esta mancha no es mi área, no.
No me digas que te enamoraste de mí.
Yo no voy con labia, no.
Tú sabías la que había, baby.
Esta mancha no es mi área, no.
No me digas que te enamoraste de mí.
Y ahora me quieres cambiar, sabiendo cómo soy, tú sabes lo que doy. No te hagas ser igual, no te hagas la santa, el perreo te encanta. Y ahora me quieres cambiar, sabiendo cómo soy, tú sabes lo que doy. No te hagas ser igual, no te hagas la santa, el perreo te encanta. No me digas que me quieres, no me digas que me amas. Tú sabes que no te creo, mucho menos en tu cama. Seguimos envueltos en la bellaquera, ey, ey, la noche entera. Eso de enamorarse no es pa'
All right, and here we are. We are live once again. Football is back. August 1st, Thursday, 2024, Hall of Fame game. We got the Hall of Famer Flex in the building, and we are once again with Life. As we went lifeless last week, as Word Life had to do reconnaissance, had to do his duties to do the research on the movies to bring us the movie ratings that really matter. Forget about Rotten Tomatoes. Forget about IMDb and all that other stuff. We have the Word Life
Siskel and
fitted
Ebert
system. Yeah, forget about Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. Are they both? I know one of them.
Yeah, I think they're both wrong.
It was Ebert died first, right?
No, I feel like that's
was-
I think that's the misconception that we thought. I think if I'm not mistaken, the fat guy.
Oh no!
didn't die
It was
first.
Siskel and because it was Roper. It was Richard Roper became his partner. I think it was Ebert and Roper afterwards.
Yeah, you're right.
So Siskel died first, and then it was Roper. But we don't care about either of them two because we have our own official movie reviewer. The expertise is unparalleled.
Yep.
We had a new movie come out, Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh, before we get into the movie review, just quick preview of this evening's episode. We're going to talk. We're going to do the movie review. We're going to recap the final episode of Hard Knocks, which came to a close this week on Tuesday. And then to piggyback off of last week's fantasy football, probably not going to be on my team top 10. I have another top 10, probably not going to be on my team, but these will be the running back edition. But we'll start it off as we welcome Word Life back into the show. We welcome him back, and he comes back with a smoking hot movie review, Deadpool and Wolverine, starring Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. What were your thoughts on the movie? How'd you feel? What was the experience like?
Well, I was very excited to go to the movie theaters. Let's start there. Huge Deadpool fan. Growing up with the comics, I don't know if people are aware of the relationship between Wolverine and Deadpool. It's a great relationship in the Marvel universe. Very, very funny And if you watch any of the Deadpools, they always hint on that relationship. Both Weapon X, products of Weapon X. So, but yeah, man, I went to the movie with my son. I as soon as I found out it came out, because I found out that Thursday, I ran out of here, went straight to the movie theater with my 13-year-old son. And first thing is when you buy your popcorn, they try to sell you these. I don't know, have you seen this now? That every like
Yeah.
movie has like a fucking extra like giant
Yeah.
popcorn with the
I
face.
I got the one for Inside Out.
Oh, word. See, I was gonna do
Yeah.
the the first time I saw it was, I think it was the Mario. There might have been one in between there before that I saw, but the Mario one, that shit really intrigued me. But yo, that shit was like an extra $27. I was like, nah, I'm not doing it. And then the Wolverine and the
Wait,
Deadpool shit was,
$27, and what is this for? A cup?
it's just for oh yeah, a cup of Deadpool or Wolverine or a
Is it the one that
popcorn.
had the mouth open?
That's the popcorn one for Wolverine.
Okay. Yeah,
With
yeah,
the
yeah.
popcorn, you put that. Then the cups were fire. It was like rubber gripped around them. Shit was ill, but who the fuck got $27 extra? I mean, like, fuck out of here. And then that's just for the cup. And so the soda's gonna cost you $50. Fucking nuts.
The soda
Nah,
comes with it.
they put soda in it. Don't tell me that.
Yeah,
Well,
the soda comes with it.
Yeah, it comes in it. Yeah, it does. But still, bro, like,
And free
and then
refills probably too.
and then
right?
yeah. But then you want the Wolverine too, right? Or you just gonna get the fucking Deadpool
Yeah.
one? You gotta get both. But anyway, that shit was bugged out. I'm like, damn, I really wanted to do it, but I couldn't bring my pockets to do it. But as far as the movie went, man, I really enjoyed it.
I can't even let my pockets. I can't even bring my pockets to bring me to a movie theater.
Yo,
So
I
commend you
honestly
for that.
shouldn't have.
I don't even
honestly
have
shouldn't.
pockets.
Yeah, dead ass though. I shouldn't have though. I shouldn't have. Like I said, I got that anxiety attack where I found out something happens where I'm like, I just got to be the first nigga at the movie theater. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. It was day of. I ran over there, and
Well, considering you're in Jacksonville, you were probably going to be the first nigga at the movie theater, regardless of when you went.
I think I was, but I don't know. Well, let's see. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I qualify under that word, but anyway.
For you, they do. For them, they do.
Word, right? The movie was dope, man. Real funny. Everybody was craving. I seen everybody was crazy about the intro. I wasn't that crazy about the intro, but besides that, the movie was phenomenal, funny as expected. A lot of special guests from the Marvel universe. I'm sure a lot of people already know, but
Now,
one of
hold
them.
on a second. When you say this, the intro, what was the intro? I wasn't. I'm not aware of this.
Like, the credit, like, in the beginning, like, of the movies, they always give you like that.
Like the opening.
Yeah, the opening scene.
Like James
Of the
Bond
movie.
movies are usually famous for that.
Yeah, and
So it was,
Marvel too.
So
yeah.
it was a good. So it was a good scene.
It was
or-
dope, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as I noticed the people in the movie theater liked it, and then also online. I didn't enjoy it
Okay,
as
gotcha.
much, but it was still dope. I just thought it was funny, but it was I don't know. I just thought it could have been a little iller. It was more on the funny side, and not as on. It was ill, but it wasn't as ill as like it was a lot of killing and shit. But whatever. Anyway, long story short, I thought it was dope, but I didn't go crazy for like everybody else. For there was other parts in the movie that I went crazy for, that with the crowd. But that intro, I guess maybe I wasn't. I don't know. I just didn't feel it as much as everybody else. But yeah, as far as the movie goes, man, they had another Marvel guest in there that is one of my favorites. So it was really dope that I got to see three of my favorite Marvel characters, at least top 10 Marvel characters in the movie. That was really dope. So fucking I give it out of 5. I'll probably go 4.5, man. With a
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
big. It's a big
Yeah,
rating.
4.5.
The highest,
4.5.
is that the highest so far?
I think so.
it might be 4.5.
Now we didn't do we didn't start doing the reviews until after the first two had already come out. How does this one compare to the in terms of the Deadpools? The first two Deadpool movies.
Yeah, that's tough. As a whole, I'll say as a whole, I say it's probably one, three, and two. And two was dope, but because of cable and all that. But I'll say one, three, and two. Three, three was it was just super dope. Just like the storyline was dope to see all the guys. They made they made fun of like the multiverse thing that every movie has a multiverse and not to spoil it, but there's a multiverse kind of there's a multiverse within this movie. Um, but yeah, man, phenomenal movie. I say four fitteds in the visor with the do rag under. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
got untied do rag. So you
Oh
know,
wow. Okay.
yeah, it's hanging from the back and the sides, both. So, but yeah, man, I recommend anybody to go see that shit, even if you're not into the Marvel universe and you just want to see a action thriller, a lot of killing, shooting, kicking, fighting, punching, and with a little mutant twist. You know what I'm saying? So dope, man, really dope. Hugh Jackman fucking did a phenomenal job as Wolverine again, probably his best as Wolverine. Um, Reynolds, you don't really even see him. He's Deadpool pretty much the whole movie. like
Did you
like
see
the mask.
Logan?
Yeah. Definitely seen Logan.
Because I heard that was good. I never saw that one, but I heard
That was that's it's literally what this is what I said when I saw that movie. That's literally Leon the Professional with Wolverine. It's basically
hard.
that move is that movie in the Marvel world. It's
Now,
fire.
speaking
Fire.
of that, because I heard, again, I haven't seen Logan or any of the Deadpool movies, but I heard that he dies at the end of Logan. Because speaking of this whole multiverse thing, somebody was telling me that was how they had to use that to bring Wolverine back, because for it to make sense that he died. So this is like a really technically a different Wolverine and a different multiverse. Is what is that
1000%.
about?
Yeah, so that was part of the intro. That
Okay.
part where he goes to dig up Wolverine. Spoiler alert, he didn't think he was dead, so he goes digs him out and he's fighting with Wolverine's bones. He's killing like 100 people, which was dope and ill, but it's almost like they went that route, and then that's what kind of like I'm like, okay, like that's how we get in Wolverine, but whatever, we're getting Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? And then just to be completely transparent and not to be all positive, I don't like the fact that the Deadpool world it doesn't really tie in with the other Marvel movies, like all the other Marvel movies. Like I feel like Deadpool's that big. I mean, they've proven it. They've proven that Deadpool's that big, bro. We've proven it. All our fans, we all show out when it's time for Deadpool movies. We've proven that he needs, it should be a little bit more tied into it. And they made their fun about it and during the movie. But again, I feel like that was a little lazy writing. You know what I mean? Like going to the multiverse, and that's before they poked at it and made fun of it, which made it a little better for me. But in the beginning, I'm just like, okay, we're getting to another multiverse. Like that's how we going about this, and that kind of maybe swayed me not to enjoy it as much as everybody in the beginning. Feel me?
Yeah.
Just
I gotta
because
be
we've
honest.
seen
There's
it
one thing.
so much.
Yeah, there's one thing.
It's like that's the
about,
way out of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
and this is neither here nor there, but
Or
the
time
one
travel.
thing about Deadpool for me was that, like you said, you were a Deadpool fan growing up. I was a Deadpool fan growing up too. But one of the things that I liked the most at that time, growing up, Deadpool, I felt like he was almost like an underground favorite. Like he wasn't mainstream. Like he wasn't like, everybody knew X-Men. Everybody knew, of the Marvel universe, everybody knew X-Men. Everybody knew Spider-Man, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like if you knew Deadpool, you knew the comics. Like he wasn't being in a ton of cartoons and none of that shit. Like he was like almost like the underground dude. And that was like what a part of what I liked about it. And then once they even said the movie, before the movie even came out, the original, the first one, I just remember I felt like all these people came out of nowhere and sweating Deadpool, and nobody was talking about Deadpool like that before then. All of a sudden, Deadpool was everybody's favorite, and I was like, where did this come from? I spent years of my childhood talking to people about Deadpool. Nobody even knew what the fuck I was talking about half the time.
That was like one of my favorite
all of a sudden,
cards.
the movie came out, and it was everybody was on Deadpool, and they've been big fans for forever, and now he's become that character has become so mainstream that I got turned off by that.
Well, I remember,
not to say that I would have went to see the movie anyway, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know if you had a similar kind of experience with it.
Well, no, definitely, but I had that so long ago that I wasn't surprised once the movie came out, because there was a point in the comic books where he started almost being like a doofy, insane Spider-Man. You know, like how Spider-Man starts to talk. Like, I remember when that started happening, I was like, I didn't love it right away, and George was like, "Nah, that shit is funny. He's seeing rabbits and he's talking invisible creatures and shit, and he's insane, nigga. He's insane." I was like, "Okay, all right, cool." But I loved him as the mercenary. You know what I mean? The serious fucking super dope fighting ass. Like, he's probably the best hand-to-hand combat in the fucking Marvel universe. Like, I love that. You know what I'm saying? And I do remember that, but that propelled him, though. I remember, like, once he started doing that consistent, that insane shit, and seeing funny shit and writing, I used to see a pink unicorn or some shit, and he used to see these little fucking friends, imaginary friends. I remember, like, starting to see, like, more with the, like, I don't know if this is a proper term, but like the goth world, like that kind of world. I started noticing like Deadpool was moving a lot within that community, and in those Hot Topics and whatever the other ones are, all those. Because I used to sneak in there and find some dope Marvel shirts or Biggie shirts back in high school.
I'm
and
glad
shit.
Because that was another thing. Because I remember when I was in college, you couldn't find a Deadpool shirt when I was in college. I had to I had to make them. I had to I remember printing out and making a bunch of Deadpool T-shirts, and people were like, "Oh, what is that?" Like, who? Like, there were a couple people that were like, "Yo, like I like that Deadpool shirt," because like they knew what it was. And there were other people that would just compliment the shirt because they didn't know what it was, but they liked the shirt. And then I remember like just so much has changed as far as just that character goes. Like, it has become so popular, like exponentially more popular over the course of time.
But I think it was that really propelled him, though, when he started being like, I don't know who wrote that in there, and you know they always change artists all the time, but they threw that in there in the comics, and that's really when I seen him propel like that. But again, I remember when I took my kids to see Deadpool 1, and I was like, I told my kids,
how old were they?
They were young, son. They were young, and I remember being like, "Yeah, I don't know how lucky y'all are. Like, this is like."
No, I'm just saying, because that movie, if I'm not mistaken, that has some.
Yeah.
I thought that was not for kids.
Yeah, I fucked up. But my kids were a little older, like 9, 10. But I don't know. I mean, they weren't old enough. But big seen worse. He's seen worse in the movie. But I shouldn't have brought him to the first one. But again, I remember being like, "Yo, y'all so lucky." Even with Infinity Gauntlet, with that whole shit, Infinity Wars or whatever they called it. For us, it was Infinity Gauntlet. You know, the Infinity Wars or whatever.
Yeah, we had like the Fantastic Four, like that was even, you know, we were older, but that those terrible Fantastic Four movies.
I know. I always say this generation's so fucking lucky. But anyway, not to dwell on it too much, go see it. Deadpool Wolverine is fire. Definitely smoke, if you into it, smoke something, pop something. You'll enjoy it. It's funny. It's dope.
Wow.
Don't get lost in the story.
It's one visor, untied do-rag.
Yep.
Excellent.
That's fire.
That's the highest rating we've gotten so far.
Yeah, it's up there. Definitely.
All right, so pivoting to football. Football is here.
When that game start,
or at
by
least
the way?
it's I think it starts at 80, 30, 15, something like that.
I just want to know why Caleb Williams very clearly isn't playing in this game. Like it's been, he's put that out there for about a few days now. But he's running around with the pants on. I'm just confused by that.
With what pants on? Football pants?
The uniform pants. The uniform pants.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have any big expectations for this game, but Hard Knocks.
Mm-hmm.
Word Life has not seen the most recent episode of Hard Knocks.
The last two.
It's come to an end, and we'll just do a recap. I said last week I felt like it kind of lost some steam after the whole Saquon saga kind of came to an end. It was really kind of just business as usual for me, at least just from my standpoint. It was just like them, all the draft process stuff that I feel like that none of that was really kind of new to me. And then in this last episode, they kind of just went over how the draft process went. The only thing that I think I found kind of interesting was, and you know what I would have liked to have seen, and this is a real simple, stupid type of thing, but I wanted to see how they send in the pick, and they never showed that. Like,
damn,
I wanted to see, do they call and tell them? Do they have to act? They say they send in the card or whatever. But what does that mean? They never showed it. I thought they were gonna say they're gonna show somebody turning in a card or making a call or something. They didn't show shit.
I thought I guess you're right. I didn't see it, but all I did see, I did see like what a loot like when they said that the Giants were on the clock. The pick wasn't announced by, I guess the Chargers. It wasn't announced yet. No, actually, I think it was for the second round pick, not for the first round pick.
Damn,
I think that they did. That the pick wasn't announced yet, but the pick was in, and they put the Giants on the clock. They knew as soon as the pick was in. Like I don't know how they got informed. Like I think that, like I guess everybody's connected, and with the with the phone or like the landlines or whatever.
Well, that's
and
the thing.
It just seemed
you guess. Why the fuck are we watching this shit and we still gotta guess? That's my whole point.
Yeah.
Like,
wait,
they should
explain,
show that shit.
Guess what?
So
guess
they said, they announced the pick is in. They showed Joe Shane. Joe Shane clearly before Goodell is on TV and goes and says who the pick is, Shane knows. But they don't tell you how he knows. They don't tell you if he got a call. They don't give you they don't give you any of the specifics of that. And then he's like, okay, we know who because he knew it was going to be Joe Alt, and he knew that they were going to go Neighbors unless they got some crazy last second trade deal. So he's like, all right, we're not in a rush. We know we're going to take Neighbors, where we're going to sit and wait and see if somebody calls. So like a couple people called, and he was basically just like, kind of seeing what people are offering, and if unless they were going to go crazy, he was like, yeah, now we're probably going to stay or whatever. But that was it. Like, they didn't show they didn't show like the behind the scenes process of how they announced, to Goodell, how the relay happens from them knowing who they're gonna take, and
I know exactly what you're saying.
How they give that in, and I'm like, yo,
and
why
that's so
wouldn't
weird.
They show that? Like, what's
that's so weird?
Because the point of the show then?
I feel like we've seen behind the footage of that stuff.
Yeah, we've seen the war room before. That's just not new. That's why I think I've seen. I felt like this whole shit was just kind of like, once the Saquon shit was done, it was just
they must have said something.
Time for me.
Yeah, they must have said something. They must have said something that they didn't want to leak or something.
No, because I'm going off because I know I forget what it was for the Jets last year or 2 years ago. I don't know. Mm-hmm. He Joe Douglas sits there and he goes, send it in, and he calls, and there's a guy that's on the computer next to him, and he's the one who calls in. He's the one who sends in the pick. But obviously, I'm going off of that. I don't know what this system is,
Yeah, no, I feel what you're saying. I just feel like that was a basic opportunity to just that would have just been interesting for like real football fans. It would have been interesting to get the
Yeah.
exact process of who's making the call. Like even we got more of that when it came to like some of the free agent negotiations. Like we were talking about when we were recapping. I think it was episode 2 when we were talking about how it was interesting how Joe Shane was not. He clearly sent somebody to go
Yeah.
finalize the contracts. That he wasn't the one on the phone making that call, and you see the guy walk off and he goes to his office or whatever. But like we didn't even get that. Like we didn't get
Yeah.
shit. It was
Yeah,
just
that's
kind of
weird.
them jerking each other off in the fucking in that conference room, and that was it.
Now,
And then they did the fucking the whatever that Zoom call, and when they first they showed him when he first calls him and he says, hey, you ready to be a giant, that like that cliche type shit, the same thing that every GM says to every draft pick, you ready to be up, like it was the same shit as
fill in the
always.
blank.
Yeah. And that was really
Now,
it. I didn't really take too much away from it other than that. I just felt like I felt like I was just left empty. Like I didn't see anything I haven't seen before. They've never done this off-season Hard Knocks, and there's so much more kind of nuance and detail that they like basic shit like that you could have got a little like whatever. I don't need to see the guy doing whatever he does, but like a little something. I just felt like I didn't like I just said, like you're sitting here like I guess that they did this, I guess that they did that. Why the fuck am I questioning this shit if I'm still guessing?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, at what point did they talk about a trade? Because I had to pull up a post. I seen that the Giants had declined a
what?
trade. A trade. The Giants had declined a trade with the Colts. Did they talk about that at all?
The Colts, yeah, they showed the offer. And while he was on the computer, they said exactly what they offered. It was
I see it here. I got it.
15. It was 15. I guess whatever their second round pick is, and next year's
Second round.
second as well. And he was like, I don't want to drop that far, because I guess they had their eyes.
15.
I know that they were really high on Adunze too, but obviously we saw how that worked out, and Adunze wasn't going to be going down the air. And on top of that, it seems like they were going. It seems like they were going up for Brock Bowers. The Colts were so even though Brock Bowers was on the list for the Giants, if Brock Bowers was taken at 6, then you can assume that, since the Jets also wanted to trade up, the Jets were going to take one of the wide receivers. And obviously what it turns out, the Bears ended up taking another one. So that's why they did it. He said specifically, like, I don't want to go back that far.
Yeah.
Then with the Jets, they saw that they tried to move up to 6. They didn't put out what the trade offer was for that one. I haven't seen anything that kind of like in terms of online or anything like that kind of saw what the offer was. So they wanted to go up for Adunze in that offer. But well, you said that about the doing this again and like doing the behind the scene. Honestly, I don't think that they're gonna end up doing this at all again, just because how Bobby, you were talking about how like all these like little things that that we could have seen or whatever, to make this a little bit more interesting for the diehard football fan. What they ended up doing, like with stuff like that they should have been showing as filler, and for some unknown reason, the whole draft results board came out. They showed it, I guess they zoomed in, got HD shit. So they showed the whole draft chart, obviously not before, because that would be, there's no way that's getting out. But what they ended up doing was leaking the draft board after all the picks were done. And some of the picks were color coded. And I guess it was also leaked about what those color codes mean. Um, like yeah. So like for example, I got it right here. Um, like if it had a blue, if the name had a blue, it was A plus character, no, no character concerns, A plus leadership and good person, all that stuff. Red was for medical concerns. Purple was character concerns. Gray was position flexibility, and yellow was potential position change. And whatever that that getting out, because you know how these teams are, they don't want any of the information how any team classifies players, or how any or what they haven't, like what they find important in prospects and stuff, like when they're rating them. So like in that case, like I feel like something like that, maybe they were able to get around, like they, obviously HBO, they were strictly told they can't put up anything that has like a grading system or board that was used to make the picks, but they still showed what they thought about the picks, some of them, afterwards. So like, like for example, with the Jets, they drafted Jordan Travis, as a quarterback from FSU. It shows the Jets picking them, but the name is highlighted in red, which is injury concern. Obviously, Jordan Travis suffered a season-ending leg injury. So some of that stuff, I highly doubt that they wanted that to leak out there, and it might have just been an oversight, just because they haven't done this before. But I can see them not being happy about that.
Who's that? And that's who? The Giants or the Jets?
Yeah, the Giants.
Really? Yo, you got to put me on. I want to see that. I don't know what's going on with my lights, yo, but
Maybe you got a ghost in you.
this is not my lights. This is just the camera doing that. My lights are perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's
But anyway.
probably a auto setting on the camera.
Yeah, bro.
And one quick thing, which I don't understand with the Malik Neighbors pick. If you see that chart or whatever, obviously they were really high on both of them. Clearly, they like Malik Neighbors more. But
Who's both of them? Odunze?
Odunze and Malik Neighbors. But Odunze's name is in blue, which means A plus character, A plus leadership and all that stuff. And Malik Neighbors isn't. So it's just strange to me that they would pick that.
But what was Malik? What color was Malik?
No, there was nothing. There was no highlight on his name.
Yeah, explosion. I mean, we already know what the difference between those two are, but Odunze is going to be a fine addition. I don't think he's as explosive as Malik is, and it looks like, and I said this before on here, it looks like the Giants are trying to build a fake poor man's Miami Dolphin offense. They got the speedy guys and all of that shit, but except for the speedy running back. but besides that,
they got Rocket. What's his name?
Oh yeah.
Motor.
Yeah. Motor, and they got my man Tracy. He looks. I mean, he sounds promising. So
They're
hopefully,
big dudes, yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to see that board though. If you can
I'll send it over.
And what it means and all that. Yeah, please, man. That's informative. Yeah, definitely. Because I was very curious about
Bobby's riveted by that, by the
the draft board.
By that board, yeah. But one thing I do think you might be interested in, Bobby. This goes back to I think it's the third episode. I had a quick moment in which I thought, were we getting were we getting tricked with this whole thing?
What whole
with
thing?
The Hard Knocks?
Uh-oh.
Because there's one scene where I think it's Shane's daughter is at his desk, right? And he's playing with...
by the way, his son is the man. His son, I fucks with his son. I forgot to.
Okay.
That was the
Well,
one thing you just reminded me. That was the one thing that I picked up from the show. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
so
to.
if you go, no. So if you go back, there's a scene where his daughter's playing on, on his desk or whatever, and she has a Mighty Ducks little plush figure. And if I'm not if I'm not mistaken, that jersey announcement was made after the draft. That might be, that
What
might be
jersey?
why the new Mighty Ducks uniform.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, correct?
The Anaheim Ducks, yes.
The Anaheim Ducks, yes. They switched their uniforms, and they went to the orange.
To the old logo. Old logo.
Yeah, old logo with the orange.
Yes. Uh-huh.
There's a scene where Shane's daughter, I don't know if it's the second or third episode, is playing at his desk with a plush figure, a duck that has the new uniform, or what I believe to be the new uniform. But that uniform came out after the draft, and this is going on before.
Yeah, but it's
the
a
draft.
retro uniform.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a throwback.
Okay. I mean, that's what I was just saying. Like, it caught me.
Just because they weren't wearing the throwback logo jerseys on the ice doesn't mean they weren't making plush dolls with the throw. I mean,
Well, but they had a jersey reveal.
yeah, I know, but so what?
So I was just going by that this uniform just came out.
Well, I would have to see the uniform. I don't know. I mean, how different is it from the last time they wore the uniform with the old logo?
Well, it has the duck on it.
No, I know, but they've worn that before.
Yeah, but remember, but I'm saying this is the orange one with the duck on it. They were using the A or whatever recently. But they,
No, I know,
that
recently, but well, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't catch all that. I just thought that the reason why I said I thought his son was the man was because he was like giving him real fucking advice on who to take. And he was like, nah, you got to take Jaden Daniels. He was like, fuck Drake May. Well, he didn't say fuck Drake May, but he was very clearly about Jaden Daniels and not about all the other dudes. So I appreciate it.
So he was not about the typical Giants quarterback stereotype.
I mean, I guess if Drake May counts as that, I don't really know that much about Drake May.
Well, if you listen to him, if you look at him, you'll understand why.
Okay. To be continued. All right. Well, with that being said, that's going to do it for the Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is, well, at least Hard Knocks off season. Then we got Hard Knocks training camp beginning, I forget when they said that the first episode of that is going to premiere. The one thing I think is whack is that they're doing, I don't like when they do too much. This whole idea of doing the whole AFC North for off season, for in season Hard Knocks.
We don't need
I think
16.
that's whack.
That's fucking nuts.
Like, I think that's whack, but, whatever. But I guess I am interested to see, I guess hopefully we'll get some answers as to why Caleb Williams is wearing football pants. Well, maybe that'll be revealed in the
Well, he did come out with the
training
jersey
camp
on as
Hard
well,
Knocks.
so.
Well, I'm sure all of these questions will be answered in I'm sure that the Hard Knocks cameras are on the sidelines as we speak, recording
they just had
behind the scenes of the game, so.
They just unveiled the kickoff, the new kickoff. So
Oh,
that was
damn.
exciting.
Yeah, I gotta see that. Ain't no starters playing anyway, right?
That doesn't matter.
Oh, I want to see Caleb.
Well, you're not going to see him. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I feel it.
We got Davis Mills starting.
Nice.
Wow. It's a former starter, man. You could pretend you can trick yourself into thinking that the starters are playing.
All right, let's get this moving along. Once we reach fucking Davis Mills talk, it's time for me to take control of the show. Let's take a little break, and when we come back, part 2 of my fantasy pre-draft list. This time we'll be doing running backs. Last week we did wide receivers. Maybe I'll do a little recap of the receivers, but we are running backs focused this week, who I will not be drafting, but after the break.
Mm-hmm.
Coming right up.
David Mills talk. No. Last week is the one I missed. Yeah, no. So you did a receivers list?
Well, the week before that is another one that you missed as well, pal.
No, I was there.
No, that was the week with the barbecue joint.
Yeah, I did it in New York on my vacay. I did it, remember?
What?
And I said I was gonna go. I'm about to go watch the 3 episodes of Hard Knocks. I was in Beacon.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Because that's after that I went to go see the Hard Knocks.
Oh, shit! I'm not confused. That's right. You were in the car and all that.
I was in the car, then I was going to my crib, and then we did it from a mom's crib.
That feels like it was so long ago.
Right.
Time is crazy.
Yeah. Oh hell no. Yeah.
Short.
Boom. So you're gonna do a recap of the receivers? You gonna do the recap of the receivers?
We could go through the list. You have the list, right?
I do. I do have the list. So.
I have it.
Oh wait, you know what? How could I forget? I just fucked up.
The music.
The most important thing. This to me is more. You know how like when people when it's Christmas time they get excited for the Christmas music.
Yeah.
For me, I don't get excited for Christmas music in Christmas time. I get excited for football music during football time.
You know what's crazy? I was watching the Big L episode the other day.
Big L episode of what?
Of Fly Degenerates. And I was watching it with Juan and Gio at Juan's crib, and there the song was fire. The song was fire. The breaks.
What song?
And I think we did the songs from the previous week. We actually did it on that one. It was dope.
Oh yeah. We got to do that again this week too. All right, so fantasy football previews, rankings, and all that stuff. Last week, I decided I'm gonna do a fantasy rankings, but not your typical. Here's wide receiver number 1. It's gonna be Justin Jefferson. No, we're doing it a little different because everybody has those same shitty ass lists that don't really help anybody.
Yeah.
This list is guys who, but basically to sum up the list, is guys who, where they're being drafted currently, I think it's overvalued and I'm not going to be drafting them. They're not going to be on my team unless they fall considerably from their current draft slots. How are we doing with sound? Is it too loud?
I think it's a little loud. I was just gonna text you that.
Turn it down a little bit. Leave it right here.
That's good right there.
All right. So, recapping last week's list, wide receivers, 10 guys who I'm very unlikely to be drafting given where they currently are being drafted. I'm not willing to go as high as this current draft position. Number 10 was Michael Pittman. Number 9 was Drake London. Number 8, Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 7, Jalen Waddle. Number 6, Devontae Smith. Number 5, Christian Kirk. Number 4, Amari Cooper. Number 3, DJ Moore. Number 2, Brandon Ayuk. And number 1, Nico Collins. Those are all the guys that, given their current draft positions, I find them to be very overvalued, and I will not be having them on my team. But now we move on to the running backs. Do you have any thoughts on that wide receivers list, since you weren't here for that, or should we just go to the?
I mean, just to be brief. It sounds like a solid list. A lot of names that you mentioned. I don't know where they're going, but those sound like.
Now, was there anybody that you heard that you would want on your fantasy team? Because I could tell you where they're going.
I like Nico, but again, I wouldn't.
You like Nico Collins?
Yeah, I like Nico, but I wouldn't get him.
Nico is number one because he's currently, his average draft position is about 16. So that means you're going to have to draft him middle of the second round. You're going to have to draft him middle of the second round of your fantasy draft if you're in a 10, 12 team league.
Yeah, and you need a start. You need a number one. You should be able to get a number one there. And
he is your number one. That's basically the point. Do you think that he's if you're in a fantasy draft and the first guy you take, the first receiver you take off the board is Nico Collins, you feel good about that?
Nah.
To me, I don't. That's really
That's why I said I like the player.
Yeah, if I get him as a wide receiver 2, or maybe if he's a flex, depending on how my draft goes. Yeah, but if you're telling me he's going to be my number one. Yeah. Then I'm not.
That's why I said that the list sounds good, because a lot of those names you said sound like that. Some of them would be okay to get if you're not drafting them early.
Yeah, you know that's really that's the whole thing. Because I feel like a lot of people ask me, oh, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about that guy? And for me, it's never about the player. It's always about where you're getting the value. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So speaking of that, moving on to go ahead.
No, sorry, just real quick. Especially because if, for example, what running that would make you pick around let's say 7 or 8 in the first round. Obviously depending on if it's 10, 12, whatever. That means you would have to go running back, and then that would be your number one wide receiver. You know what I'm saying?
Unless you go receiver, you could do that too.
You could do that too and stack up on mid-round.
If you're drafting 6 or 7 and you decide you want to go with maybe Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, depending on how the first 5, 6 picks go, and then you could have Nico as your number 2. I don't hate having Nico as a number 2. I just feel like even if I take him in that middle of that second round, I just know that there's going to be more people available that I would rather use that high pick on.
Exactly. And the other one, real quick, I threw in for, I know Cheeks is going to be in a league that has a lot of, Giants fans. I said, watch out for Malik Neighbors being overdrafted as well.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
But you can't go by, whatever. Okay. Moving on. Running backs. Running backs was a little bit tougher because I felt like the tiers are wider spread apart. I feel like when it comes to receivers, since there's you have at least 2, maybe 3 of them on the field at all times, there's a lot, the tiers there's a lot closer. Whereas with the running backs, I feel like there's a top tier, maybe depending on who you want to put in that top tier, there's a top 3, and then there's a little middle zone, and then there's a whole kind of, we'll see what happens with these guys at towards the back end of the draft. And basically with this list, I'm saying is that I'd rather take one of the we'll see what happens with these guys way down in the bottom of the draft than draft some of these guys where they're being drafted. So with that being said, go ahead.
Especially because of the injury prone to the running back, you always could find somebody in the
by week 10 pretty much you're 14, 15, 16 round running backs are usually the ones that are stepping in for you and doing a lot of damage in the clutch.
Word. Nah, definitely.
All right. So with that being said, my number 10 on my probably not going to be on my draft, on my team list, number 10 is Devon Achane. Now, I put him at 10 because I don't think it's impossible that he'll be on. The further down the list you go is the less likely they're going to be on my team. And I will say off the bat, the first 4 on the list all coordinate with each other, and you'll see why in a second. But Devon Achane is currently average draft position is around 23. For me,
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
he has a ton of upside, a ton of potential. He has a very high ceiling. But for me, I'm just in a Dolphins offense that seems to have a lot of different places to go with the ball, a lot of mouths to feed. He doesn't even, I mean, we can assume that he will have leapfrogged Mostert and be more prioritized and be the number 1 receiver, where Mostert kind of came into the season last year, and then they kind of ended up splitting carries towards the back end of the season. But I think he'll come into the season getting more carries than Mostert week 1 off the bat. But Mostert's still there. He's still going to get his share of carries. I assume that they're going to still split to some degree. You still got Tyreek Hill as kind of like the main focal point of the offense. He needs to eat. They just signed Jalen Waddle. He needs to eat. And also, the dude was not getting a full workload last year, and he couldn't stay on the field. He was getting hurt. And that was with him being a number 2, and he was getting, he was averaging like less than 10 carries a game, and he was still he missed like several weeks with injuries. If they try to up his workload, I'm supposed to expect that that's just going to translate to, you just take the numbers and multiply them. Nah, it doesn't work that way. And to draft him at that high of a spot, I mean, it's not super high, but I still feel like I feel like there's more guys that I'll be more confident in at that spot. So, Devon Achane, number 10, excuse me. Number 9 on the list is Raheem Mostert. Much lower ADP. You can get him at 77. I had Raheem Mostert on a couple of my teams last year because I was able to get him even further down than 77. I got him in most of my drafts in like the fucking 10th round because nobody was even worrying about Raheem Mostert last year, and there was value there. But now, to me, to take him, I don't really want to deal with I personally don't want to deal with the Miami Dolphins backfield if I don't have to. If you're telling me I could get Devon Achane, if he's going to fall maybe to a late 3rd round, 4th round-ish, then that's great value. I'm on board. But to have to take him at the beginning of the 3rd round type of deal, I don't want him. I don't want Mostert. I would much prefer a guy who has the backfield to himself and is going to be getting, I know he's going to be getting more touches, more carries a game on a bad team, even in a bad offense. I'd rather have the opportunities as opposed to guys who I don't even know what the distribution is going to be. So for me, Dolphins backfield is going to be a stay away.
Yeah, they're very much like the after Christian McCaffrey backfield for the 49ers, where 1 week it could be this Debo. 1 week it could be a guy that they just drafted. 1 week it could be a guy that is an undrafted free agent. It's like you never know what you're going to get with those backfields. Once like C-Mac goes down or whatever.
Yeah. So I've already dealt with those kind of those backfield shares, and I don't want to deal with it again this season. Number 8. Average ADP is very, very late, 93. So you're probably looking at getting him 8th or 9th round. Austin Eckler. I just don't. I don't really even care where I get him. I just don't. I don't even think to me, he's almost not even really worth a draft pick unless you're in a super deep league. Just because I have no idea what his role is going to be. The last few years, he's been productive, and I would say probably 65 to 70% of his production was coming in the passing game, and he was getting that production in the passing game because he had good quarterbacks. I don't know how they plan on using him. I don't know what Jaden Daniels is going to be. I mean, I think he's going to be good, but it's all speculation. I don't know where the Washington Commanders franchise is at. I don't know he's going to carry the ball at all. Is he going to be exclusively a 3rd down back? Who knows? For me, there's way more other options that I would, if you're going to draft him, even at that spot 93, you're drafting him to be your probably 4th running back. I could still find 4th running backs that I would like over him. So Austin Eckler is going to be my number 8. Number 7, like I said, they all correlate. Number 7 is Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is going to be the assumed early down back for the Commanders. But I just don't know what to expect from the Commanders' offense. So I mean, it's a late draft round pick, but to me, I just don't. He wasn't good last year, and they hadn't signed Austin Eckler. Like, he really wasn't really winning anybody fantasy leagues last year. He's also had injury problems. He also got shot. Who knows? I don't want to get involved. Those are just two backfields, or both of them are just overall stayaways for me. I think the Dolphins less so, but both of those backfields are just total stayaways for me for the most part.
Yeah, good point.
So then coming to number 6. Number 6 is Isaiah Pacheco, who has an ADP of 26.7. So you're looking at probably drafting him early 3rd round in your fantasy draft. So he's probably going to be either your number 1 running back, or depending on how your draft goes, your number 2. I like Isaiah Pacheco a lot, and I'm not totally ruling out that he could potentially be on a team of mine, but he would have to fall from there. I think as we get closer to kickoff, I think that ADP might drop. But as it currently stands, I would rather either get a running back way early and then wait on my 2, or just take a wide receiver who I feel more comfortable with. I don't know, man. I'm really torn on Pacheco, but I know that I'm not drafting him that high. Like, I'm not going to draft him and assume he's going to be like a workhorse running back. He has not lived up to the standard of the Chiefs running back that we've seen in years past. Like, for the last 10 years of my life, every time the Chiefs had a running back who they were giving the ball to all the time, they were a top 5 fantasy performer. Whether it was fucking, you want to go Jamal Charles, you want to go, like, they've had so many dudes who have been super productive, even dudes you never heard of who just emerged out of nowhere. And Isaiah Pacheco has been productive, but he has not had that level of, dominating, win you a fantasy championship type of numbers. No. And I think he's a good running back. I love him on the field. Just as far as pure football goes, I think he's a great player. But I just think he has a kind of mid ceiling. Like, he's not going to be, he's not going to have, 3 or 4 multi-touchdown games. I'd be surprised. No. You know what I'm saying? And for me, like, if I'm going to draft a running back top 25, I want somebody who I know is going to be prioritized in the red zone, who's going to be a definite, 10 to 15 touchdown guy. I don't know for sure that Pacheco is going to be that guy. So at that high of a pick, he's probably going to be he's probably not going to be on my team. Somebody else is going to take him there.
Especially in that offense where once they get down to the red zone, it's almost like it's not like the Eagles. It's going to be, let's see what, Patrick Mahomes can do. Let's put the ball in his hands and see if it's going to be Travis Kelce for in the middle and wiggling his way in. It's always going to be something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's going to be, they have all kinds of plays that, these mixed misdirection plays that they run to the slot receivers. They just have way too many red zone options, and you know that offense 100% is going through Patrick Mahomes first, and he's kind of like a secondary. And again, not that I think he's a bad player, I just think that in terms of drafting him for fantasy, that's just too high for me. Number 5, ADP of 23, exact same as actually Pacheco, 23.7, is Josh Jacobs, the newly signed with the Green Bay Packers, Josh Jacobs. I've never really been a big Josh Jacobs guy. I don't care how many times he's led the league in yards. I've never really been a big Josh Jacobs guy. I think he's a fine running back. I think he was just getting run right into the ground while he was there in Vegas. I don't expect the Packers to run him into the ground in that same way. I don't think he's going to get that same volume of carries, and I I don't know that he is as productive from a number standpoint if he's not getting the volume. And this is a Green Bay Packers team that had two running backs last year who we've seen be productive in the past, and they couldn't get anything out of the running back position last year. And I don't know if it was because A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are bums, or if it's just because that the offense that McFlurry is running over there without Aaron Rodgers is just not the same when it comes to the running back. I don't think that he's going to hold that same type of value, and I don't think he's going to have that same type of prioritization in the offense. Again, I could be wrong, but I'm willing to let somebody else draft him up there in the mid-20s and take that chance. I'm more comfortable with other players that are going to be available later in the draft. Number 4, and I hate to say this one makes me sad. This one hurts me, but I have to be forthright with this. Number 4, ADP is right around 20, so he's going to be either your first pick in the second round, first pick in the third round, last pick in the second round. It's Derrick Henry.
I knew it. I fucking knew it.
You know, I hate to say it because I hope I'm wrong. I want to see Derrick Henry have a monster season with the Baltimore Ravens. I think that would be great. I think that would be great for Lamar. I think it'd be great for Derrick Henry to kind of, you know, have a little bit of a second act in his career. But running backs at that age, it's not often that they go to a new team and are super duper productive. I feel like he has gone there to be more of a complementary piece, more so than a feature piece. I think that offense is still Lamar Jackson's baby. I think he could have a productive touchdown year, but as far as between the 20s, him kind of having that, 25 to 30 carry workload and just being that type of horse, I just don't think that the Ravens brought him in to use him that type of way. I think he'll get his fair share of carries, but I don't trust that he's going to be that type of workhorse in Baltimore that he was in Tennessee, and he's been kind of, slowly declining while he was in Tennessee. So at that high of a draft slot, again, I'll let somebody else take that chance, and I'll take somebody else in that 20 slot. Number 5.
Real quick. My fault. I'm just real quick. I'm just curious about like you said, between the 20s with Derrick Henry also, because isn't a lot of like Lamar Jackson's like run play is kind of, wait and see what the defense is doing. And I feel like Derrick Henry can't do that, only because the only time you can actually stop Derrick Henry is within the first couple yards where he gets the ball. Once he's got 5-6 yards, it's very hard for any defender to stop him. But I feel like just that hesitation that Lamar Jackson does, where like he's waiting to see if anything opens up for himself, that kind of like negates a little bit of his running attack.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that he's gonna be I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how well he fits with Lamar Jackson. But, I mean, I hope that they find a way to figure it out, and I hope he has success. But I just don't see it being like a huge monster statistical year for Derrick Henry. Maybe he's super effective, and listen, maybe they have a role for him with the in the goal line packages, and maybe he punches in 12-15 touchdowns. But I don't think he's gonna be rattling off 100-yard games or none of that shit in that offense. So I'm going to take a pass on Derrick Henry, unfortunately. It hurts my heart to say it, but it is what it is. Number 3, I think this is going to hurt you, Word Life, when I say this
Joe
one.
Mixon.
Number 3 is Joe Mixon.
I got 2 in a row. I was like, I'm not going to keep this one in because I wanted to say Derrick Henry so bad. Go ahead.
Joe Mixon is currently going 42, around the 42 range. His ADP is 42. And there is just way too much going on with that Texans offense for me to, like, he would really have to fall for me to, 42, that's going to be your 4th pick. And for me, I would love it if I can get Joe Mixon in a place where I'm going to be starting him maybe as a flex, or maybe he's a bye-week replacement. He's coming off the bench on my fantasy team. But to draft him and knowing that I got to start him every week based off of where I drafted him, and I don't know what his role is going to be with the Texans, and that is very clearly C.J. Stroud's team. They didn't do a ton with the running back last year, and now, mind you, that was probably largely in part because they didn't really have great running backs on the team. But even so, I mean, this is another guy who is on the back end of his career. He's no spring chicken. They didn't trade for Stephon Diggs for nothing. They're bringing back their wide receivers. I think they're going to have plenty of options. Dalton Schultz is still a guy that they want to, that they invested in. There's just way too many mouths to feed on that offense. I don't know what his role is. So, again, I just don't likely see him being on my team. Number 2, this is a guy whose average draft position is currently 16.7. So that means back end second round. Maybe even middle of the second round, depending on what you're talking about. If you're talking 12-team league, whatever. That's Kyren Williams. Kyren Williams had a monster year last year with the Rams. Sean McVay is a guy who I believe in to get something out of the running game. But the only problem for me is we've only seen Kyren Williams do it 1 year. And I feel like there's this instinct of fantasy players to try to recapture Todd Gurley. I feel like we tried to do it with Cam Akers. We tried to do it with fucking who was the other guy? Darrell.
Oh yeah,
Henderson. Darrell Henderson, Mac Brown. Well, he was the other one, right? I feel like we've tried to do this supplementary Timu Todd Gurley for a minute now. Kyren Williams, I think, looked closest to that last season, but it was just one season, and I just don't think that that's coming around again. I mean, I feel like we fell for that with Cam Akers when he kind of went on a little bit of a run. People thought he was going to be the guy, and then next thing you know, they just changed the offense up like that. And for me, a guy who's really only done it for 1 year, I got to draft him with my second pick in the draft, or I got to draft him not only second pick, but with a high second pick. I can't do it. There's a lot of other guys that'll be available in that slot that have a more proven track record that I rather, for me, those first picks, you gotta really go confident, safe. I mean, not super safe, but just somebody who has a little bit more of a track record than just doing it one season. And especially with a Rams team that I felt like the Rams team was super undervalued coming into last season. And I don't think that the value is there anymore. I don't think that they're surprising anybody anymore. So Kyren Williams probably not going to be on my team. Especially
because Sean McVay is also the type of person who's always looking for your replacement. So
word.
And speaking of that, and speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another reason why I don't want him on my team, because they didn't draft this guy for nothing. What's his name? Wright, I think his name is. I forget who they picked up a
Jalen Wright, from Texas. No, Texas.
Is that
they
who
didn't
it
pick
is?
him up? Did they? I gotta look it up.
I'll tell you right now.
No, he went to Miami.
I feel like they drafted somebody in the third round.
Yeah, he went to Miami. Yeah, that's crazy.
Blake
That's another reason
that's
for
what I was
A-Chain.
thinking of. They have Blake Corum.
Oh.
They didn't.
That's
draft
another
Blake
reason
Corum
not to
for
fuck with
nothing.
A-Chain right there too.
Yeah. So, speaking to your point, that's another reason why McVay is always, like you said, he's always looking for the next guy up too. They got young backups waiting to take Kyren Williams' job. I think his job is his job until it's not his job no more. So, I don't know. That's just a real high pick that I'm going to have to take on a guy who I don't, he just kind of came out of nowhere last year. I don't know that he's going to replicate last season. And then my number one, not going to be on my team, running back. Being drafted 12th overall.
Damn.
Jahmyr Gibbs.
Ooh.
There's no way that I'm going to if he stays at that spot, there's just no way I'm going to draft him. I know that everybody thinks that the Lions are done And here's the thing, I'm not going to make the same mistake I made last year, because we had this conversation last year about David Montgomery. I don't think they're done with David Montgomery. I thought David Montgomery was overvalued last year because I thought they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs super high and he's going to be the priority. But they clearly want to get everybody involved. I think Jahmyr Gibbs will probably get more carries, he'll probably get more opportunities, more touches, more catches out of the backfield, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But David Montgomery's still there. David Montgomery is still going to be getting goal line work. He's still going to be getting early down work. I think Jahmyr Gibbs has a lot of potential, but that's another offense with a lot of mouths to feed. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be getting, 200 targets a year? I mean, he's going to be getting a lot of love. Sam Laporta is going to catch 10 touchdowns. Those are 10 touchdowns that Jahmyr Gibbs is not having. And I also think that they're going to find a way to get the ball to Jamison Williams more, because they didn't draft him super high for no reason either. I mean, he had the suspension last year. He was injured in the last year coming into the season, so I feel like people kind of forgot about him. But he started to kind of come on late in the season, with some big plays for them down the stretch. If you think that they're going to start to get Gibbs more involved, I think that they're going to start to get Jamison Williams more involved as well. And I just think that there's way too many mouths to feed. And a guy who is not guaranteed to get goal line carries, a guy who's not guaranteed to get early down carries, I can't take a guy who I know is splitting the backfield with that high of a pick. If I'm taking a running back, I need a guy who's going to be really, really dominating the touches. And for me, I don't know that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be getting that opportunity. So highly unlikely he's going to be on my team if he stays at that 12 overall draft spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's solid.
Go ahead.
That's solid, man. Go ahead.
No, my fault. Go ahead.
That's solid because one of the main things about Gibbs is Montgomery just fits the feel of the team too. You know what I mean? Like that bruiser, like Campbell, he fits more of that, of what they want to do.
You know what's funny that you say that? Because I feel like he fits Campbell, but I feel like Gibbs fits Ben Johnson, the OC.
Yeah.
What he wants.
Yeah, I can see that. But I also feel Campbell has a big imprint in the energy of the team or the
we're gonna grind this one in.
For sure. But as long as Campbell's there, like, listen, if for whatever reason, like, make believe
DNA of the team,
if Campbell would have got fired, I think Montgomery falls out. I think that then it becomes maybe they start leaning more on Jahmyr Gibbs. But I feel like as long as Dan Campbell's there, they're gonna want to maintain some of that bruiser identity, and they're gonna want to still punch teams in the mouth. I feel like if Ben Johnson was left to his own devices, maybe he gets a little cute. A lot of these OCs, they try to get too cute. They want to do a shovel pass and a reverse over here, and I feel like Dan Campbell's gonna be the guy that's gonna be like, yo, Montgomery's still getting 15 carries a game. We want to punch. We want to make the defense feel us. Pause. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So recapping the list, number 10, Devon Achane, or Achane, however you pronounce it. Number 9, his backfield mate, Raheem Mostert. Number 8, Austin Eckler. Number 7, his backfield mate, Brian Robinson. Number 6, Isaiah Pacheco. Number 5, Josh Jacobs. Number 4, Derrick Henry. Number 3, Joe Mixon. Number 2, Kyren Williams. And number 1, Jahmyr Gibbs. All 10 guys who I feel are being overdrafted, overvalued, and probably not going to be on my fantasy team 2024 running backs list.
Real good list. I like it. Very logical.
Love it. Yes, but with like the 2 on the list. Well, actually, let's say 3 on the list. Jahmyr Gibbs, Austin Eckler, and Devon Achane. You also don't really see them like, okay, it's the 4-yard line or the 3-yard line. We're gonna shove it down their gullet, not use throat. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're not that type of running back that you're gonna get 3, 4, 5 extra touchdowns because they're just built that way. You know what I'm saying?
The only one on that list that I think that I see myself taking, I thought about Henry, but I also had a lot of doubts with Henry, just because of the age, and I feel like he's going to be more of a setup for Lamar. Like, hey, first half here, look, Henry's still, he's going to break one. He's going to break one, but he'll never break one. And then he's more of a, like a setup for Lamar. So I agree with that one. The only one I'll give you a little kickback is Joe Mixon. I think because of where you said he was, 4th round. I think if he's my 4th player that I draft, I don't think that's bad. I think he's a goal line back. I think they need to run the ball. I think he's going to be the primary running back for that team. And they considered a passing team because of the success that Stroud has had. So they're going to be focused on the pass a lot. And there is a lot of weapons in that offense too. Receivers, tight end. So, and then Stroud can move in the pocket also, get some yards with his legs. So I think I wouldn't be so quick to pass on Joe there in that position and in that round.
Great, good. So make sure you draft him in our draft, so I can have the better player that round.
Every year we have that one running back.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this:
and this will be the year that the other.
Go ahead.
Well, this will be the year that they start using the running back from Florida that they drafted 2 years ago in the red zone.
Who you want? You want? Would you rather have Joe Mixon or Kenneth Walker of the Seahawks?
That's a good one.
I think I'll take Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I think Walker's the better player, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mixon has more success just because they don't have to zero in on Joe Mixon. I feel like they would have to zero in on Walker. But it's a close one. That's a tough one. Walker's definitely the better player though.
Yeah, especially he's rated high. He's rated higher than Breece Hall and Madden, so you got to go by that.
Oh, is he really?
So let me ask you this: you want Joe Mixon or you want Aaron Jones now on the Minnesota Vikings?
I'll take Mixon.
You can get Aaron Jones a round later, 2 rounds later.
Yeah. I'll get Mixon. I'll get Mixon over him.
You want Mixon or you want Ramondre Stevenson?
Mixon.
See, I'll take Stevenson. I'll take Stevenson in the 6th round, and you could have Mixon in the 4th round. I'll get somebody better in the 4th round.
Yeah.
I'll get a better receiver.
Stevenson is where now?
He's still with the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of running back. Yeah, obviously, yeah. If you bring in, if I'm thinking of more of like if you want to get the running back there, there's.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I said in terms of the tiers of running backs, I feel like it's not a Joe Mixon thing. It's most of the guys that are getting drafted in that late 3rd, early 4th round. I just don't see myself taking a running back there. I'm gonna take one early, and then I'd rather take Stevenson 2-3 rounds later.
Yeah.
I'd rather take DeAndre Swift and see if they lean on him with Chicago 4 rounds later. Because I don't know what Mixon is going to be. I don't think he has a high ceiling.
No, I see it. I see the worry. I see the concern.
With him, it's more name.
Who?
Mixon.
Because towards the end of you want Joe Mixon, or you want to roll the dice with Nick Chubb 4 rounds later.
I'm taking Chubb. That's probably my favorite back in the league.
That's what I'm saying. You can get Nick Chubb's current draft as he's in the 80s. You want Joe Mixon in the 40s, or you want to wait and you get somebody like a Nick Chubb in the 80s?
Yeah, I'll wait over 2 rounds. Hell yeah.
You can get this guy. You can get either of the Steelers running backs in the 80s, whoever you think is going to be the guy there next year. You can get the Giants Singletary in the 90s. I'd rather have him than Joe Mixon. I know
Really?
he's the
Wow.
guy they're leaning on.
Yeah.
I know he's the guy, and I know that they don't have a ton of other fucking offensive weapons that they're prioritizing over him. It's gonna be Neighbors first, and who's next? Singletary.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Like, if you're telling me I can get him in the 90s? Nah, I can't.
Where's
I
Chase
can get
Brown,
somebody.
though?
I can get somebody better in the 40s. Go ahead.
Chase Brown, because that's too. They were trying to phase out Joe Mixon.
Chase Brown, you can get Chase Brown. His average draft position is 123rd.
Yeah, who's
I'd rather
who's
get a
their main, that's their
combination
main guy?
of Zach Moss and Chase Brown in the hundreds over Joe Mixon in the 40s. That's. It's not that I don't like Joe Mixon. It's just that
I
I'd
get
take a
the
guy
whole theory.
there who I think he has better upside. Like Joe Mixon, I would be shocked if Joe Mixon has 10 touchdowns. Shocked. Like, if Joe Mixon has 10 touchdowns, that means that Texans offense is fucking humming.
Yeah.
And I think that the Texans offense will be good. I just think that he's going to be the fourth or fifth one to eat in that offense. And, like, why am I going to take a guy that has such a low ceiling in the 40s?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just, like, you look at the bottom end of these running backs. None of them sound great on face value. But if you look at where you can get them, 11th round, 12th round of a fantasy draft, you could put together 3-4 of these guys at the bottom end of your fantasy bench and just hope one of them hits, as opposed to drafting Mixon with your fourth pick. If you draft him with your fourth pick, he got to hit. You can't miss. He gotta deliver. And I don't feel super confident that he's 100% going to live up to that when I haven't seen it. I don't know what they're going to do with him with the Texans. And like I said, the Texans did not exactly get a lot of production out of the running back position last year. And they were successful without it. You know what I mean? So they have already proven that they don't need to have a running back putting up numbers. Like, that's the CJ Stroud show. So, I mean, I'd rather take fucking this guy. I'd rather take the corpses of the old Ravens running backs who are now heading up the Chargers backfield with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards.
Both of them?
They're both. You can get both of them in the hundreds, and that's going to be the Jim Harbaugh offense that they're going to run the ball. There's going to be yards to be had and production to be gotten out of one of those dudes. I'd rather draft both of them fucking with my 12th and 13th picks, and whichever one ends up being the guy, that's who I got. And I got a more reliable guy in the 4th round.
Hey,
so
where's Hall? Nah, I get it. Where's Hall in that list? Brees.
He's the number 2. I think he's the pretty much consensus number 2, number 3 back. You got to get him like top 6, top 7 picks. He's going super early, but that's why that's why he didn't make the list, because
I was just wondering.
No, he's super high. But then you got like there's just too many guys that I feel like I'd rather take a chance on them, and one of them could pop at the way back end of the draft, for me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You know.
I like the list, man. Definitely.
So there you have it. Running backs. Next week, I'm going to do some version of... I haven't decided if I'm going to do like a 5 of tight ends and a 5 of quarterbacks, or do something else, because it's I can't do... it's probably going to be hard for me to do a legitimate top 10 for both of those positions.
Nah, you gotta do defensive players for George.
Defensive fantasy players? No, I don't have to do that at all.
Quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks, 5 tight ends is dope.
But speaking of...
I like your tight ends. You always draft really good tight ends. You always get production out of tight ends. So I'm curious of your top 10.
Strategy, my draft strategy has been pretty sound. You can't win it every year, but I feel like I go, for the most part, I go zero QB and 0 tight end, and that has served me well. So, although this year, I don't know, man. This year, again, it's like one of those things where you have like tiers. You gotta really, because the thing is you gotta really feel good about a tight end.
Oh yeah.
where you draft him. Like, how good do you feel about Travis Kelce? I don't think he'll probably be number one on my I'm not gonna draft him list, because there's just no way he's gonna fall to a place where I feel that there's value in drafting him. And I hate to say this because I don't like to drag, and I don't want to give too much of a preview of next week, but I will say this: I don't like to drag previous seasons, wounds and scars into the way I view the next season.
Yeah,
I don't want to do the Kyle Pitts thing again, but depending on, I got to look more into where he's being drafted. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't want to do the Kyle Pitts thing again, but depending on where he's going to be drafted, I might be interested in him next season. As painful as it has been to try to be the ones who gets him the year he pops and have failed the last couple of years. I don't know, man. I feel like, I mean, the Kirk Cousins factor piques my interest.
It does. I see that.
Plus, I'm hearing that it seems like Kirk Cousins is not fully healthy.
Have y'all been following a lot of the other teams? I haven't really heard. I'm trying to get.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to them. I've heard some Bears stuff, some Chiefs stuff, but I really want to dive in, like what people are thinking of, but. It's hard to weed the bullshit, because as a Giant fan, they try to sell you players. So that means every team is trying to sell you a player. And I know that I don't know other teams as well as the Giants, so I don't want to fall for shit. So I'm kind of skeptic. But what are you saying?
I'll give you one that Matthew Berry tweeted, I think, yesterday. My timeline is nothing but really nice training camp plays from 31 NFL teams and bad passes by Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones, bro.
Daniel Jones is gonna have a breakout year.
That's what fans are wishing for. But I don't know.
Stay tuned for my quarterbacks and tight ends next week. But
I know Jones will be
gonna be on your do draft.
You don't know anything, huh?
He's gonna be on the top 3 quarterback.
Danny Dimes,
draft.
my guy.
Hell yeah, Danny Dimes.
How did that come about when? Oh, I think it was the first week, right? The first week we did this, that I was in the middle of making my picks, and I was like, I'm rolling with my man. And before you were like Daniel Jones, and I was like Daniel Jones, and that wasn't even who I was gonna pick, but you just said it.
Oh I do remember that. You know what's funny? I swear to God, to be completely transparent, when I said Joe Mixon, I actually questioned whether or not you did that right there. I was like, did I really get Joe Mixon, or was he?
No, that one was real.
He just shuffled. The only reason I felt that way is because. I believe. I like that thought did cross my mind. I was like, because I thought about Henry too right before you said it. So I was like, let me see.
This is.
I thought Barkley was gonna be in that list. I can't even see.
It's too white.
Yeah.
Too bright over here.
Too
it
bright,
is legitimate, but. With that, we got nothing. We got anything else? I mean, there was one. No, there was not. No. I'll save that for next week.
No, we'll say that after.
Say what?
Songs, but we do that after? Off the air, or?
It could be on the air, off the air. It doesn't matter to me. Well, do we have anything else? There's nothing else really noteworthy from the football situation, right?
Unless you got some Olympic stuff. No, but I'm liking the
Cavs re-signed Jared Allen. That shocked me. You saw that?
Yep. That's your boy.
I thought once they gave Mobley that deal, that meant Jared Allen was gone. You're running it back right into the fucking second round exit. Like, how do you run that back?
What do you mean,
that is that commitment to mediocrity is impressive.
Word, man. Who's the only one? The only one left is who hasn't re-signed yet is
with the Cavs or in general?
Yeah, with the Cavs.
Darius Garland. Yeah, he's the only one.
Yeah, he's all. Yeah,
but they'll probably sign him too. If they're gonna like, if you're gonna run it back, then run it back. Like, if you're gonna try this fucking, like, to me, the Darius Garland Donovan Mitchell thing has a better chance of working than the Jared Allen, Evan Mobley thing. We've seen enough of Jared Allen, or at least I feel like I've seen enough of Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. It has not worked at all. Like, the advantage that you're supposed to get by having those two big guys at the same time, you had the opposite. Like, your team somehow gets softer with these two big guys.
That's so crazy.
It's like they have
You're
two.
right,
It's like two NBA Jam pairings on the same team.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, big man, just you get the score and the big man who could dunk or block shots, and like you have two of them.
Yeah, and then sprinkle in some Max Strus, in the fifth spot. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but that was the only thing I saw. Anything Olympics related? Anything? That's it. Have you been watching any Olympics?
No, that the river full of shit is interesting. Say the least.
Full of shit.
What's that? I heard that they had to cancel the triathlon, right?
No, they didn't cancel it. They thought they were going to have to. Apparently, they ran it back anyway. And they were like, "Yeah, everything's good. Everything's clear." And I saw one of the contestants or Olympians that said that we saw things in that.
Fucking Olympic
Come on
game
down.
show.
But yeah, they said that we saw things in there that we shouldn't be seeing. And one of the other guys who came out, he was projectile vomiting as he was doubled over when he finished the swimming part of it.
Jeez.
All right, so this is the last thing I'll say. Speaking of Olympics, and then we'll get out of here because I know that this is gonna probably get me in trouble, but it has to be said, or at least I need to say this because I've been thinking about this. And this is America, right? What is America best known for?
Shooting. Shootings.
How are we not fucking meddling in shooting? All these fucking gun psychos are so obsessed with needing to have all types of guns and all these rights. Get your fucking ass to fucking Paris and win us a fucking gold medal. Why the fuck are we getting Turkish fucking 65-year-old Turkish guys winning gold medals in shooting? Fucking America can't win shooting? We can't win shooting. Are you serious?
Yo,
if it was like
pocket too.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think if it was like big gun, as many people as you can get, or type shit like some Arnold Schwarzenegger shit.
No, because you know what would have happened. We saw what happened with the assassination attempt. So let's not go ahead and assume that that would have turned out any differently.
Yeah,
but
I don't know, man.
What I will say,
why shooting is not a sport that America is not world class dominant in.
No, because this is. You know what it does? It actually highlights America.
Yeah, highlights
because people in America think that because they have a gun, they'll be protected, and if a bad guy comes in through the door, they're taking care of business. They're making sure that the King of England isn't going to come in their house and take over their their furniture and TV. Yeah, and they think that that's what's going to happen. What actually happens is what's happening to America in the Olympics, where they're going to shit themselves. They're either going to shoot somebody that's in their own family, or at the end of the day, not even know how to put the gun together when it's or load it and shoot when it's time to actually do it. So it's actually perfect that's what happened to us in the Olympics and shooting.
Hallelujah. Well
Yes,
put.
Thank you. Well said. You said it even better than I could. And with that, we'll close it out before they come and shut us down here. Till next week. USA! USA!